was easy. I appreciate it. We're going to move on. A little playoff preview here, guys. Looking ahead. Can CJ do to Baltimore what he did to Cleveland this past weekend?
Is it messed up that I'm scarred? I don't want to talk about it. Like, I know it's my job, but I'm like, man.
I hope he does. Because if he does, it doesn't make our defense look like they were made out of wet paper the whole day.
Yeah.
So, I mean, my hope is he will go through that Baltimore defense, but my expectation is he's not going to put up 31 points on them. I just don't see it.
Is that Texans loss more disappointing than the Knicks loss?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Hell, Jay had him going to the Super Bowl.
Right? I thought they were going to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, you're right.
I didn't have the Cavs going to the NBA Finals.
You're right.
But I didn't have the Browns going to the Super Bowl either.
Yeah, the vitriol is I think we just gave the Cavs more. They just get it worse than the Browns. Yeah.
You know,
go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, like, I caused a huge stir Monday by flippantly saying that, like, there was empty seats, and I thought that the noise was a little bit louder.
You went viral.
I said Houston. Houston was furious.
Multiple Texans players quote tweeted.
Multiple.
The whole city of Houston was furious with me for.
Really?
Yeah, it was just
that's hilarious.
It was just a flippant comment.
But there were empty seats.
Yeah,
because I asked people that were at the game too.
Mike
said,
came to the Cavs game the other night, and I was talking to a couple of the reporters who were in Houston. And Sean, the photographer here at Channel 3, is like, oh, yeah, I was standing in the end zone. I saw him in, like, the Red Bowl and higher. And a couple other people were like, oh, yeah, there's definitely empty seats. I didn't say it was half empty. I just said I saw empty seats, and I thought it seemed louder than what it is. So, anyway, to the city of Houston, to the Texans organization.
Wow, are you going to apologize?
I sincerely apologize for absolutely nothing. You're a bunch of cheaters. We know you're a bunch of. The city of Houston is sensitive over cheating allegations. Who would have ever thought that the city of Houston and their sports fans would be sensitive over cheating allegations? So for all of you big bucket wearing, big belt wearing hillbillies, let me tell you something. I am known on this show as being dead inside, as being the one person who doesn't care about anything. Thank you for relighting the fire inside of me and bringing out the pettiness within me. I will root against every Houston team till my dying day. I will piss on your grave every time a Houston team loses. Go Ravens. I hope they dismember you. And I hate saying that because I love C.J. Stroud and I love D'Amico Ryans. I think they're great at what they do. But now you've made it to where I have to root against them. I hope the Ravens pound you into the ground. I will wear a Raven. I haven't worn a jersey in 40 years. I will wear a Ravens jersey on this show to celebrate them pounding you into submission. So yes, Houston, I'm not lying. Y'all have a crappy fan base and there were empty seats in the stadium. Deal with it.
Man, you better hope that Houston doesn't win.
I don't care.
I don't care.
Can we sell Houston to, like, Mexico? Can we just sell them?
Do a trade.
Just sell them.
Sell the whole state. Give them all Texas.
Give them back. Give them back.
Jay, you never go on rants, but when you do, they are popcorn worthy, man.
That was great.
It's the rage.
That was fantastic. It was an all-time great rant. I am rooting for Houston because I hate Baltimore, but
no, I'm rooting for Baltimore because now I hate Houston. I hated it
fans.
long before last week, but now I really hate Houston.
I'm gonna go to Sam's Club during the game.
You don't want anything to do with the result?
No.
The answer to the question is yes, Houston can beat Baltimore, no doubt.
Yeah, no, I think the question was can C.J. Stroud do that to Baltimore's defense?
Yeah,
because I think they can win. I just don't see them. I don't see him putting up 31 points on the Baltimore defense.
If he can do it to the Browns, he can do it to Baltimore.
If C.J. Stroud
it's in Baltimore. That's another huge difference to me.
If he put up them points against Baltimore, Jimmy Haslam gonna start firing more people.
Yeah, right.
He's like, this Stroud kid, I want one of those guys. Defensive coordinator has to go. Jimmy, you do know he has nothing to do with that.
There's a good joke I could tell about Jimmy Haslam with C.J. Stroud, but
no, see, I think it's worse for the Browns if C.J. and the Texans offense go to Baltimore and score 3 points. I think at that point you're looking at your Browns defense saying, you couldn't stop them, period.
Yeah.
They were averaging 8 yards a play.
But the parallel,
and Baltimore holds them to 3 points or whatever. That's not good.
The parallel in the description is we gave you 3 first-round picks on top of the quarterback. So they looking at it like, oh, we got the better of that and the 3 first-round picks. Yeah. That hurts your soul a little bit. You like, even though it's not a direct comparison.
Do you think Jimmy, in an honest moment, would come out and maybe not to the media, but tell friends, yeah, I shouldn't have made that deal? Or do you think that he, in his heart, says, well, this deal's going to take us to a Super Bowl?
I think they're still holding on for another year.
So he hasn't yet said that this was a disaster.
I don't know, but I just think I think that they'll give it another year.
He did give
Let's
you an
face
extension.
it, Jimmy's not the sharpest tool in the shed, so I think he still believes it.
There's a lot of people that always say this.
Yeah.
You never apologize. You double down. Now, we all know.
Well, they've doubled down.
That's what they're doing.
I think they done tripled down. Everything is on this year. That's it. They acted like
because if this year doesn't go well, you have to start thinking about a new quarterback.
This is what you call in poker pot committed.
There
Your chips are in the middle of the table,
100%.
and you're chasing it inside straight on the river, and you ain't getting out.
And you only have one of the 5 cards you need.
By the way, teams that in the Ravens case, remember they sat their guys week 17.
They did.
Then they had a bye.
They're inactive almost a month.
Right. So the teams in their scenario that rested guys the last week, then had a bye, are 3-4 straight up, 1-6 against the spread.
Which goes along with the trend previous to that.
Now, it doesn't always go with the trend, but
San Francisco did the same thing, by the way. Rested starters week 18, had to bye.
Yeah, I ain't seen Lamar Jackson in weeks.
Yeah.
Not to mention Lamar Jackson's track record in the playoffs is pretty awful.
So who you guys picking? Baltimore?
Baltimore.
Straight
All
up or
day.
versus
Yeah,
the
straight
spread?
up.
I'm picking Baltimore straight up.
Ravens.
What about in the other game?
Wait a second. Straight up or versus the
Yeah,
spread?
straight up. Just pick them straight up. Who's winning?
I'm picking the Texans to win the game outright.
Wow.
So I guess it doesn't matter point spread or not.
What about the other game?
Traitor.
Kansas City, Buffalo.
You're a traitor.
I got Buffalo winning this.
Yeah. Oh, man.
That's gonna be a great game.
Yeah, it is.
It is going to be a fantastic game.
Ball-
I'm picking Buffalo, too, because the Kansas City
Josh
offense
Buffalo's
hasn't looked like the Kansas City offense.
Kansas City has had, the Bengals had Kansas City's number, and then last year in the AFC Championship game, the Chiefs got over that. Kansas City's conversely, Kansas City has had Buffalo's
Right.
number.
Man.
If Buffalo can't win this time at home for the first time, this is the first road playoff game that Patrick Mahomes has ever played.
Outside of the Super Bowls that were neutral
That's
sites.
not road.
Yeah, no, it's a neutral site.
Yeah, but
It's not home.
It's a true road game. This
Right.
is a road
Yeah.
game, no neutral site.
Right.
It's the first time he's ever had to do it.
And it's going to be a road game.
It's going to be crazy. Now, the weather doesn't matter because they play in that same
No, but I'm
weather.
talking about the crowd.
It's going to be bonkers.
Josh Allen is out here playing like Captain America right now. I don't like it. He's just running people over.
I feel like that's
You can't
the
tackle
How about that touchdown run he had last week?
Yeah, he running away
God.
from people.
That
I'm
was
like,
crazy.
It
what
was
is-
ridiculous.
I'm like, yeah, he in his bag right now. Like, I could see this game actually being kind of a low-key blowout.
Did you guys see the meme about Josh Allen and his career? How he had 0 scholarship offers coming out of high school. He went to JUCO and played 1 season and sent coaches, 1,000 different coaches. He mailed them their link with his huddle highlights from his 1 year at JUCO. He got 1 callback. It was from Wyoming. 1.
So weird.
And by the way, it's not like he was 6'1" and grew into this guy.
Right.
He was that guy
He
coming
was
out of high
very
school.
inaccurate.
He gained
But-
a lot of accuracy in his first year at JUCO and was still even inaccurate.
Yeah, but even in college, he wasn't
was.
very accurate.
He was, but compared to his high school, I think that was the knock on him. He's throwing the ball all over the place.
Yeah.
He was like the fastball pitcher that
But
you
it
didn't know
still
if it was
doesn't
gonna,
make any sense because his
One-
athleticism and his size.
I know he got 1 callback, and the only reason that Wyoming saw him, they went to one of his JUCO games and were scouting another player on the JUCO team that Josh Allen played for, and they said,
weird.
"Wow, that kid's got a lot of tools," because he was rough. There's no question.
Yeah.
But he's got a lot of tools. And when Wyoming announced his signing, they actually said something to the effect of, "Here's the guy that's going to lead our program for the next 4 years." And look at him now.
The transfer portal has shown you one thing. People used to think Power 5 teams only had good players. Now, Power 5 teams is like, oh, let me go get that left guard from Kent State and start him. Like, there's good players everywhere. Like, development at certain ages, maybe you don't even have everybody don't even have gyms, weight rooms, or even a weight program. So a lot of these kids got raw talent. They get them in the program, and then they find out, oh, this guy's a late bloomer. And now these late bloomers, instead of staying where you are, They're like, I was telling Tim, hey, you go to Holy Cross, you're going to have to watch out. 2 years, Florida State will be like, hey,
Sure.
we got a spot for you right here.
Yeah, if you flash enough, you're going to be looked at. Let me ask this. So I think everybody but Bull thinks it's going to be Baltimore. You've got Houston. I think Buffalo.
Bills.
Buffalo.
So Buffalo. To me, that game feels like the AFC Championship.
I'm taking KC for the record.
To me, you're taking Kansas City.
I said all year I just felt like the Chiefs were bored and they pull it together, but man, I don't know that I can say that anymore.
I mean, they played well last week.
But there just feels like there's something internally is just not the same.
Oh,
with
you
them.
do?
It just feels that way.
They throw helmets every week. The Chiefs never had to throw helmets.
Well, I don't know. We've seen Patrick Mahomes doing some of that this year.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean until this year?
Until this year.
Oh, you're right.
It was Patrick Mahomes used to walk around with that hoodie on, that little Parker coat, cocky.
Yeah.
Like, guys, we got this.
We got this.
That
It's
little
all good.
mohawk hanging out.
He had no frustration.
No frustration.
But boy,
He be
this year's
chilling.
been
This year is
completely
different.
Seth Wickersham wrote a great story. They had two back-to-back.
I love Seth.
Oh, he's great.
Unbelievable.
He's great. And they did a really nice job, him and a couple guys that they did one on the Patriots and the unraveling of Belichick and Kraft. Terrific. Go read it if you've got the time. And then he came back with one on Mahomes. And he talked to Steve Young about the Taylor Swift effect and everything and going on. And people roll their eyes at it or whatever. And Steve's like, it's real. It's this thing that you live in. And Steve would know, like, quarterback in the NFL. And he said it's not necessarily anything that you talk about or that feels like a distraction or anything, but it's just this weight that just hangs over
Follows
everything.
you.
And you just
There's
feel
also
it.
some stuff there with the wives.
Yeah.
In that situation.
And that's real. Like I've talked about I've talked about that
don't
with
get
the
that
whole
going.
Yeah.
But I've talked about
That cult.
I've talked about that with the Baker and the Deshaun thing. Like a lot of the wives were close with Emily, and then and they get rid of Baker, and these guys go home and have to hear it from their wives of why'd they get rid of him and and that's real. That happens. Man. And so there's that sort of thing that just hangs
build
over
a
it.
wall between that.
Yeah, so
Like-
it just feels like something. I'm not saying it's Taylor Swift, but I just thought it was an interesting note that Steve Young went there in that article and said it's just this thing that you feel that just hangs over.
It still can't surprise anybody if the Chiefs win this game, though.
No, of course
Oh,
not.
it won't surprise me. No,
We'll
I'm picking the
I'm
Bills.
picking the
but
Bills, too,
Listen,
but-
it wouldn't surprise me if the Chiefs make the Super Bowl.
I think
I don't think they're going to win it. I just don't.
Well, if
But
they could get there, why couldn't they win it?
I just think that San Francisco is the team that's most equipped to win the Super Bowl.
when you get really, 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 really famous, I don't think there was anything wrong with Tim Tebow. He was just extra good. He was extra churchy, right?
Churchy.
He was just extra praise and worship service.
Right.
He was super churchy.
But it was this thing where it was just it just weighs on you because you go from, if you that famous, there's going to be some people that like you, and then there's going to be a whole lot of people who dislike you.
Oh, I'm glad you said that because
sure.
there is nobody, name him, that's universally loved.
You're right.
Who is it?
No.
Nobody.
No.
And
Denzel Washington.
I got a
No,
couple haters.
he has
I got
detractors.
How could anybody
I
hate
got
Denzel
And you know what's
Washington?
funny? You know what's really wild about that is most famous people don't know that, and they want to be universally loved.
Yes.
And it's that, and I've had famous people tell me, it took me a long time before I realized, it's not going to happen. I'm not going to be. I mean, look at LeBron.
I was just I spent every day with a man who for 4 years
Yes.
wanted nothing more than to be loved by everyone.
Because for the first 15 years of his life, 16 years, of his, up until he was a high school senior, and there was no knock on LeBron.
James Earl Jones. Who doesn't love James Earl Jones?
I'm sure someone doesn't
No,
like him.
James Earl.
Hey, real quick, guys, before we move on to the Cavs, give us your just who wins in the NFC matchups. You have Bucks, Lions, and 49ers, Packers. Who are your winners?
Lions, Niners.
Lions, Niners.
Yep. Same. Lions, Niners.
Which means it'll be the Packers.
Those
and the Bucs.
damn Packers. Those damn Packers. I don't know what's gotten into Jordan Love. He done threw 20 touchdowns and one pick.
What's
And-
interesting is we have the same thing going on in the AFC as we do the NFC.
Good
The number
gravy.
one seed is going to play a team that just came from nowhere, and their quarterback looked like he's all world. And the same thing's going to happen in the NFC. And I think both matchups are fascinating, but I think both matchups will end with the favorite winning.
I'm gonna say, give me the upset. I'm gonna take Green Bay.
Really?
I'm gonna take Green Bay. I was
Why?
really impressed. The way they did Dallas was dirty.
Yeah, they did.
They did them
I think that's
dirty.
I think Green Bay beating San Francisco is a much bigger upset than Houston
I
beating
do too.
Baltimore.
I do too.
So that'd be the biggest upset of the weekend.
Yes,
Green
Green
Bay.
Bay.
Yeah.
That'd
I
be the
agree with
biggest
that.
upset.
Yeah, I agree
think
with
it's
that.
far more
Well,
like.
I mean,
I just think is San Francisco the betting favorite right now to win the Super Bowl, or is it Baltimore?
only because the NFC doesn't have as tough competition.
No, I know, but I'm just asking because I don't
I
know the
think
answer.
so,
to that.
yeah.
Slight favorites, and once
So
again,
San Francisco-
slight over Baltimore, but it has to do with the NFC as opposed to
Sure,
the
there's no
gauntlet of
question.
the AFC.
If Buffalo beats Kansas City, there's nobody beating Buffalo. I'm convinced of that. I think Kansas City's the only team that can beat them.
I'm going with you, Bull.
Well,
I'm
that's
picking
my
the
Super Bowl
Yeah,
pick.
I'm
Is
picking-
Buffalo and San Francisco.